that is who we are. A lot of color, a lot of fun. So enough of MHCC. Let's talk about the people of the hour here. When I call Anthony for anything, he just said, you name it, let's make it happen. Once again, this is what we are. We are people that we don't have to think about it twice. You know, I just told you, hey, Anthony, let's do something. Just say the day and the time. Here we are. So, and that's the spirit that I like about your company. And then we were talking about, I said, I just don't want an event. I want something that people come here and can take something away from your expertise. So enough of me. Let's talk about, please help me welcome Mr. Tony Halleman here. Thank you.
Thank you, Camilo. Thank you for those kind words. Really appreciate it. And just a testimonial, you know, for the MHCC and Camilo. We see him all over the place at a number of events, and not just MHCC events, you know, literally all over the country. So he's definitely been there for us as an organization too. So again, I'm Tony Halleman, Executive Vice President here with Epitec, and I'm here today to introduce our two presenters, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about our organization. And we're here to talk about some of the employee best practices that's helped our 37-year-old organization grow and perform real well with our organizations. We do quite a bit of business within the automotive field, as well as banking and insurance and healthcare, so a number of industries, you know, throughout the country. But ultimately, as a 37-year-old organization, we've got about 1,000 employees in just over 30 states. They're all consultants, either in IT, engineering, and also clinical and health types of industries. And very, very proud of the fact that we've been able to kind of sprout and grow. When I started with the organization, we were about $2 million. Now we're close to about $70 million. So we've had the opportunity to grow, but it's taken a lot of the best practice processes, tools, and then the people. So now I'd like to introduce our two speakers. The first I'll introduce Rebecca Bray. And Rebecca's been with us for over 16 years, and Rebecca is our Chief Sales Officer with the organization. And Rebecca's been responsible for all of the bi-directional flow of talent throughout our organization. And as a matter of fact, in 2014, she was responsible for addressing over 8,000 of our customers' job requirements with about 12,000 candidates. So she's extremely busy in making sure that we push our product, which is talent, out to our customers. And then our second presenter, Mark Ruma, who's our Chief Operations Officer. And Mark's been with the company just over 17 years. And Mark's responsible for all of the day-to-day financial, human resources, tech, IT, and then also any of our legal concerns that run through the organization. And Mark's also been responsible for the 9 out of the last 10 years of wins that we've gotten for 101 best and brightest corporations to work for. So what I'd like to do before these guys get started, I'd like to show you a very, very short video to get things started, and then these guys will get started with their presentation.
In the category of employee enrichment, engagement, and retention, this winner has really worked on building relationships with their employees. By surveying and listening to their employees, this company has created an experience that enriches and engages them both. They continually fine-tune their employee experience while striving to create that favorite employee experience for each and every one of their team members. Here are some of the examples of the 50-plus employee touch points that are scheduled throughout the year. Employee appreciation happy hours. We tried to have an employee happy hour once at Channel 4, and the 5 o'clock news that day was a disaster.
Supposed to have it afterward.
I guess. Well, it was 5 o'clock. Let's get the weather from Gokchedika. Okay. Halloween goodie bags and other seasonal treats. Cider and donut gatherings, as well as coffee and bagel morning breaks, ice cream socials, anniversary parties, power breaks that include power foods such as energy drinks and granola bars to power through a busy day, acknowledging top performers at monthly corporate meetings, handwritten anniversary and birthday cards routed and signed by all the corporate employees each month. A Taste of Michigan holiday gift sent to every employee's home every December. Their President's Club rewards top-performing corporate employees with a special trip to destinations like Cancun. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in congratulating the elite winner for employee enrichment, engagement, and retention, and it goes to Epitec Incorporated. Mark Ruma is here with Epitec. First, there's your award, Mark. Tell me a little bit about the employee-driven focus at Epitec.
Well, one of the things that separates Epitec from the competition, especially as a staffing company, we survey our folks in the field as well as those in the office. So we have over 900 employees, and you can keep a nice, small, comfortable feel inside the office, but how you extend that to your consultants in the field has been really an instrumental part of our HR plan, and our HR team has done a wonderful job doing that. Thank you.
I think trying to convince some to get to understand that this is an investment that ends up paying great dividends, not just for the employees, but for the company in the long run. You must be finding that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And with limited dollars, we talked about this last year, there's a vigorous debate over where you can put those dollars, and investing in your people is a way to improve performance, and of course we see that at the top too.
And we'll take any advice you can on a better happy hour at Channel 4. Mark, thanks very much for being here. Congratulations.
Well, I'm Rebecca Bray, Chief Sales Officer for Epitec, and thanks for coming out tonight. I know it's super cold out there and the roads are not the best, so we appreciate you making the trip. As Tony mentioned, we've been out of the last 10 years, a 9-year winner of 101 Best and Brightest. In the last 3 years, we've actually been recognized in elite category for our employee recognition and rewards programs in what we're doing with our favorite employee experience, and that's what we want. We know people are going to come and go, and that happens out there in the industry, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what company you work for, no matter what type of job you do. But what we want to do is at Epitec is say, you know, not be naive to the fact that people are going to leave, but when they leave, we want them to reflect back and be able to say, you know what, when I worked for Epitec, that was a favorite employee experience. That was a favorite experience I had, and maybe I'll look to either go back there one day or be comfortable referring other folks and talking good about us. And it's very important for us for people to leave. When they leave, feel good, and feel good when they're here. So that's why it's very important to us for the employee engagement. So Mark's got some slides.
All right, thank you for that. See, I was talking and she said she wouldn't have a part. So that was a part. So right. Thanks, Beck. And we're kind of gonna go through these slides rather quickly. We got a pretty good slide deck for you here. I'd just like to get a time. Like, how is our time? Are we 25 minutes from this point, and then getting the folks out of here, or on to more booze?
Of course, you got
okay. Yes.
So we got to finish.
Okay. So we've kind of compiled a pretty good deck of employment engagement and things that we think small companies, medium-sized companies, and large-sized companies should be doing with their employees. And ultimately, we're trying to put more greens in our pockets and not in the IRS. I like that. As an operations guy and a finance guy, I understand that. But one of the things that we want to do at least at Epitec, and I'm sure many of you want to be the very best that you can. So we put that forward is your company a best place to work? And this was one of the things I told our employees, is that we were getting them this chair, right? If you worked out of that chair, you were the king or the queen. That's what you should feel like as an employee. But how do you get there? You know, when it comes to where are you right now, or what do I do in terms of my employment engagement, you do have to kind of drop a pin, throw out a bobber that says, here, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing right now. I want to be a best company. I want to have great employment engagement. But what am I doing exactly right now? And that becomes your starting point. We're going to talk about some things from a corporate standpoint and just and lay the groundwork pretty quickly here. Is, do you have a vision? Do you have a mission, right? And your vision is, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? What do you want to have? And I love this slide, right? This is obviously a restaurant. They probably want to feed people. All right, but this person obviously didn't get fed. They wait 30 minutes and then they split. So this organization is not going to be what they intend or set out to be when their customers aren't getting what they want. So you have to make sure that your vision is applicable and it's executable, and it has to be specific. What do you want? What are you going to be? What are you going to have? We want to have over 1,000 people. We want to be $100 million by 2018. You have to put those specifics around it. The mission is ultimately why we're here, okay? And you got to get really specific about your mission. And the reason I'm giving you these building blocks is because now employment engagement is going to feed and connect into these, right? So at Epitec, we want to be an invaluable resource to our customers, and we want to build a healthy, profitable organization that continues to grow. So, and this is this profit, and when we're talking in the video, you know, we would love to have really great employee benefits, maybe free gym memberships, maybe a slushy machine all year round, maybe we'll do your dry cleaning and your tailoring, and kind of like what Google and Yahoo and some of these larger companies have. But we also know we're tied to the dollar, right? So, and the reason for excellent employee engagement is because we're trying to impact that bottom line, and we're trying to boost performance. We're trying to get more out of our people. We have a core value system here at Epitec, and these are things that will now say, this is what we value, and how does that now plug into employee engagement? We care, right? We embrace. That means we embrace the differences in our team, as far as our ages, as far as our backgrounds, our geographies. Those are things that are very important to us. And embracing the differences in people is critical when you're disagreeing. Everybody loves to embrace each other when they agree. You'll see how well you embrace when you disagree, okay? We care about our employee experience, so we do things like go after these awards. And if you go after an award, you're going to have to fill out, what do you do for your employees in this situation? What does your vacation look like? What does your holiday look like? What are your benefits look like? What's your paid time off look like? They're going to get into every aspect of your business, and then they're going to start to benchmark that against your competitors. Okay? And what you want to do is come out on top of those competitors. So we said we care about our employees and we care about their experience. We know folks are going to join us, they're going to stay, and one day they're going to leave, and we always want to have that easy way back when they come, when they're looking for their next opportunity.
But one thing I just want to interject in, I think Mark started to talk about it when we, from a company perspective, starting out at that, what's our mission, what are our company objectives? Because when you start filling out those surveys, and we've had a lot of discussion around this, it sometimes makes you think, oh, we don't do this, maybe we should be doing this. And sometimes you can get carried away with that. We had, one year we had someone tell us that we should put a treadmill in our conference room. So we could say we have a gym on site and available to our employees, because that was the year that, fitness and companies' health programs were really popular and the in thing. So we might not get the award if we don't do that. So we should do that, and that will increase our chances of the award. And we had to, at first, it's like, but then it's like, wait a minute, stop. That for us, that doesn't tie into our corporate mission or our vision, and that's not maybe what our employees care about. So, we want to make sure that when we're doing things, yes, we like the award, but we also still need to temper that with what we're doing for us and our employees. Mark had a conversation the other day with somebody, another HR professional, and she was saying that she's really trying in her organization to fight for more vacation days for the employees because they want that. And then Mark and her were talking about the retention at the company, and she's like, oh, nobody leaves here. And he's like, well, why do people not leave? And she had a list of reasons why people were very happy in the job. It's like, so you're fighting for a benefit that may or may not actually really be what that employee base cares about. So sometimes that temperament of what are people saying, but what's really right for us, or what does our employee base really care about? Because that employee base actually really cared about the projects that they were working on and what they had access to professionally do in their job.
Yeah, exactly. So these things, like if you take away anything, this is the slide I would say you could take it down. If you're going to write a note or put it in your smartphone. We've done some research on these topics, and this is what your employees want. This is what your employees want to feel, want to have, want to do, want to be. Okay? So they want to know they matter. They want to know, and how do we show them they matter? Some of that's in compensation, some of that's in recognition, some of that's in these other things that they have, that they can weigh in on the decision making. I'm heard, that they have career development and growth opportunities. And if anybody wants this deck, we can also make it available to you. Absolutely. And the leadership matters as well, okay? People join companies, they leave leaders. How many managers in this room? Okay, all right. Well, if you've had anyone leave your company, they left maybe because of you, right?
He always has to say something.
I mean, I've had people leave me, and I'm not hurt.
Yes, he is.
I am hurt a little bit. But the leadership matters, and people want mentorship. They want you to spend time with them, and over and over again, I hear managers saying, "I don't have time to spend with my employees," and I'm like, well, then you don't have time to be as successful as you can be. You don't have time to realize your full potential. You don't have time to be bigger than yourself, right? Because the way we get this going is we get more than one person being able to do the business. How many entrepreneurs in the room? Okay, yeah, you guys are the ones that can do it all, right? Chief bottle washer, and I forget what our owner used to say. He was cook and bottle washer. So from beginning to end, tomb to womb, you've got it sealed up. And now how do you get that knowledge out to others? That's in the growth that they can have, in the leadership, in the time you spend with them, and then are they appreciated? All right, and this could just be a thank you, something as simple as a thank you or a good job, a bump in pay. I mean, of course, compensation, everybody likes more money, or we do unexpected treats, and we'll talk a little bit about that, or you heard about that in the presentation. So if you matter, you're heard, you grow, your leadership's important, and you're appreciated. So here's another kind of snippet takeaway. Are you giving your team what they need? You got to think about that. Not just, hey, I gave you a computer and a phone, and I let you sit in a chair. You know, there's more to it. You have to understand what each member of your team needs in order to thrive. Are you giving them that? If your team's not thriving, I would say that the manager, the entrepreneur, has a tremendous amount of responsibility in that equation. In this particular example, you know, the guy has a stop sign and lunch. That's it. That's all I want you to do all day, right? But if I put him in a scenario where the traffic is overbearing, he is not going to be in a situation where he will thrive. This is one of my kids. I can't remember what the movie is. Ratatouille. Anyone see Ratatouille? So yeah, it's a good movie, right? It's about a mouse who cooks. All right, and who wants to eat what a mouse cooks? But the idea is that standard operating procedures, okay, it's an advantage for a company to know that you have a process, that you follow a process. Anyone could cook. You know, we have spaghetti sauce on 1 week and it tastes great, and the next week it doesn't taste so good. You know, that's probably because it was made by a cook. All right, they get it right once in a while. A chef gets it right every time. So winter, spring, summer, fall, it's gonna taste the same because they're gonna follow a recipe. They're gonna follow a process. And it's important for your team to understand that standard operating procedures or following a process is where it begins, okay? Now here's the edgy slide. Pulp Fiction in the back. You have to mandate that people follow a process. There has to be severe consequence if they don't do what you tell them to do, if they don't follow what the process says. You know, so here Samuel Jackson is going to say, he's going to quote Ezekiel, and he's going to say, I will rain down upon you with furious wrath. And he goes into some other things. But the idea
I was going to
is,
start singing there.
she's like, she's going to cut me off. But the idea is, people must follow a process or perform the task as it's set out. And firstly, they need to represent the company. Secondly, the departmental teams. And then self comes further down the line.
And I just want
Go
to
ahead.
interject.
Soften that up for us.
Part of the reason that we feel so strongly about culturally strong processes and having that accountability on the process, when you think about employee engagement, and even as an individual, everybody likes to know what's expected of them. And people, when we talk about engaging the employees and getting the best out of your workforce, when people clearly know what's expected of them, where they're at with those expectations, they're going to perform at a much higher level than when they're feeling like, well, I'm really not sure what to do here, and my boss is busy, and I can't get in to see him. So kind of just to tie in those standard operating procedures and then that accountability to the process, that also, there's a big feed into that employee engagement and people feeling like they're part of the process, like they can be heard, and like where they can make an impact and where they're at in relationship to that.
Yeah, it's important because there's a technique called triangulation. If you're ever going to try and solve a problem, this is why we all do better when we're shoulder to shoulder in a car. If you're in a car, you always have a better conversation with somebody. As soon as I go face to face, that's where it becomes more confrontational. So when you look at having a process, it triangulates. It says, hey, if something went wrong, we can talk about the process. If something went right, we can continue in the process. The people problems start to fade back. Then they get really encouraged about solving problems. They get motivated to say, hey, where did this go wrong in the process? And it's a much better way to get at problem solving. The best delegators are active in the execution of a task. Okay? This guy, not so active. He made a few proclamations and took a nap. All right? As senior leaders, we're responsible for an excellent outcome. So when folks say, I don't have time for my employees, or I don't have time to give them what they need, you're not being active in that task execution. You're going to have to find ways to set up checkpoints, to be actively encouraging those people to come up with solutions so that they're heard, so that they matter, so that those 5 bullets that we showed you play into engagement. Know what your people are saying and doing. If you sit with them, and this engagement requires more of you. Sometimes people would say, well, I want to engage my employees, but can't somebody else do that? All right? I'm telling you, when you go and sit with your employees and you start listening to what they're saying, it might sound like fingers on a chalkboard. Okay? You might not be initially impressed with what they're doing. But I'll tell you, when you sit with them and you get with them and you start helping them move from that point, you will have tremendous impact. You need to sit with them, work next to them, give them the support they need during the completion of that task. Because we want to keep them. We want to keep the good ones, right? And like I said before, our people join companies, they leave managers. Keeping good people means having good managers at all levels of the company, okay? Retention is a reflection of management. And that's a tough pill for many companies to swallow. There's a trust component here. These are the 25 most trusted people in 2014. Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullock apparently are the most trusted in the nation. All right? But you can't be erratic with your people. You cannot be erratic. You have to maintain a predictable level of emotion, a predictable level of logic. Some people are over logic, some people are over emotional. You can't be erratic, you can't be drastic in the way that you're treating your employees. They're just not going to react in a favorable manner. Okay? People will find it hard to believe you if you're erratic, and they'll find it hard to trust you. This is a big piece in our employee experience, and it's feedback. How many people are on Glassdoor, companies on Glassdoors? Has anybody heard of Glassdoor? You've heard of it. Have you guys had any success managing the comments on Glassdoor?
You better know what's going on.
Yeah, this is where folks will tell their version of your company. Okay, and I pulled this just yesterday. So at Epitec, the pros of working here: free food, and it'll make you very appreciative of your next job. Okay, it's a great place to work and get experience in a corporate environment. So those are the pros. The cons: there's high turnover, poor work balance, as you're required to work extra hours on a salary and not paid for any hours over 40. Okay, so you can kind of see what people say about Epitec. We've got 3.7 out of 5 stars. The average on Glassdoor is 3, so 3 stars. So people get dinged pretty hard here. So as a business owner, when you start hearing what your people are saying about you, how do you incorporate that feedback? Okay, and we push a lot of our folks, we want to hear the feedback, positive and negative. Over the past 2 years, that's been like me getting on the treadmill. You know, it's just very hard, and I just want to get off of it, right? So when you're listening to your employees, you know, we have something that Epitec, the name comes from Epictetus. And Epictetus, Greek philosopher, coined the phrase, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, therefore we should listen twice as much as we talk. And we used to say, okay, people would be like, well, you talk 10 minutes, but I'm going to talk 5, right? And my 5 are more important. You should really listen twice as hard, twice as diligently. So when your people when you wade through the emotional testimony in this feedback and dig down and find the truth or the usable stuff, it can have a very impactful change on your company. So we ask you to, Glassdoor is a great place to start. Awards and recognition. This is Tony in his boxing gloves. We want you awarding and recognizing people for the right things, okay? And that's not just money. When it ties back to employee engagement, are your people being rewarded, recognized, appreciated for the things that move the needle on your business, for the things that impact your business, okay? And I think that's a wrap. So we just wanted to kind of put that quick deck together for you, show you some of the things that we're doing, that Epitec's doing. We think this is usable for you. Some of it might say, you know, is that very innovative? I don't see the technology behind that. Some of it may be common sense, but common sense is uncommon. You have to do these things in order to make your company successful, your clients, employees, and partners successful. So thank you very much.
That was fabulous. You know, I have to say that I asked you guys just to give us just a piece of your mind. You know, many of us here, MBAs, business owners, very professional. I think this was fabulous. And I think we can take it exactly what I want. I want people to take something home. So there's a few things going on here, because we're going to grill these people here with questions here. So a dear friend of mine is here, somebody that's doing amazing work for the Hispanic professionals in IT. Andre Arbeláez, will you please stand up, please? Andre is the president of Hitech, and he's out there making it happen for all the Hispanics in IT. He's also the son of one of our dear members, Brenda Arbeláez, so thank you. No, just stand up, because I want you to do the first question, because I know that you are around the country, and through Hitech, you are very involved in what is recruiting and all that. So can you please do a hard one for any of them, please?
Sure. A lot of companies now, as you mentioned earlier, look at the Google model and the Facebook models of stress-free work environment, flexible work hours, work from home. How does Epitec really encourage your employees to have that virtual model in a day where you really need to be connected in that face-to-face connectivity?
Yeah, right. It's ironic. They're two imposing ideas.
You said a hard one.
Yeah, that's a hard
Yeah.
one. We recognize that. Some of our clients, you have to realize that some clients, some environments are more conducive to remote work, some are not. I was just talking with our trainer of recruiting. She's like, yeah, remote's probably not really going to come into her position because she sits with the people and talks to them.
We implemented it this year.
You know.
I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to use it.
Yeah.
Having to be in front of people.
So we also have more technological resources that are doing server development and architecture, and those people now are more conducive to working remotely. So you really have to pick what works for you. I know Yahoo is bringing the crew back, right?
Yeah.
So we watch that. We want to know what's happening with Yahoo. We know Google is pretty amazing. You know, there's some high margins in advertising and the way that they do it, the pay-per-click. So we don't have access to that kind of stuff. So, but we watch Google, we watch Yahoo. Some of our clients, major clients like AT&T and Ford and Chrysler, we watch what they're doing, what they accept, and we've incorporated that into what works for us. And it's by location, and it's by job function. You have to get really gritty, nitty-gritty on that. So I hope that answers your question.
So we've been, from a corporate perspective, we've been very conservative when it comes to work from home and remote work policies. We have tools in place that people do have access when they're home, but we've been very strict and very conservative on that. And actually, just this year, we rolled out kind of our first step into seeing if we can manage option for work from home for tenured resources that have been here, have demonstrated a certain level of competency with their job. In not all jobs, certain jobs, depending on what they're doing. So
yeah, our policy was work more at home, right? Versus just work from home. So people, their day got extended. Now we're trying to really take advantage of that internally for Epitec. Externally, with the larger clients, they have those items built in. So very good question. Thank you. Yes.
Just going back to your slide of the 5 things, the person matters,
Yep.
recognition. I think that's a really good slide, but I think a lot of companies, that one right there, they only do one of those 5. And if you get the birthday card every year and that's all you get, are you really succeeding? And I think a lot of companies go, okay, that's easy, I'll send the birthday card, pass it around and have everybody sign it. But I really think when you talk about that slide, it's a combination of all those pieces, and if you're not doing all those pieces, are you really engaging with your clients? So that's
Yeah, excellent comment. And some things, though, you can do that will bonus you out on multiple ones of these. Okay, like offering training. Training can tell somebody that, hey, you matter. You're missing something. There's a gap here, and we need you to have the skill that you don't have. So I'm going to give you some training, and we're going to get you to a place where you need to be. It can also say, I need to get your level of experience up so that I can listen to you. Right now, I don't feel like you are quite having that experience level, and I'm willing to do something here to make that happen. It represents growth opportunities. It shows that the leaders now recognize what that person needs in order to be successful, and some people, depending on the training, can feel that that's an appreciation. So some things you can do, you can bonus out and hit multiple items, but I would agree with you. If you're just doing one, it's a whole plan. There's no silver bullet. The birthday card, I happen to like the birthday card. I don't happen to like, we have 900 people and we have to sign cards upon cards upon cards, anniversary cards. If someone has a baby, but we feel like that is very influential, so we do it.
It is, it's nice, but like I said, if that's the only
Can't be the only thing.
well, and I
it's like, okay, I got the birthday card again, woo.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, they
big
kind of
deal,
do.
and we've gotten that feedback, right, on Glassdoor. I've only heard from them one time. But one of the things that we've found, and we found it a couple years ago through the survey, and then as we're growing, we're finding this. One of the things that we need to improve on as a company is our communication to our employees and communicating how they can hear us and communicating what we're doing, because in some instances, and I'll give you a great example, we do a ton of stuff through the community and charity-wise. We support our customers' charities. We have a couple charities we support from a corporate perspective. We try to engage our employees, but for whatever reason, a couple years ago on one of those 100 best and brightest surveys, that was the area we scored the lowest in, is our employees said that we did very little in the community, when in fact we do a lot, and it's like, where's the disconnect? So as we start looking at things, part of it's like we're doing things, but maybe we're not communicating them in a way that how it's perceived. So one of our things this year, so we showed this slide, actually we showed these points, Mark had a different slide, but we showed these points to our employees and said, we're specifically focusing on these 5 areas this year. And now, throughout the year, we're making a point to talk about when we do something, it's with purpose. And it's because we were intending, very intentionally, to hit one of these 5 points. So if we're gonna do something geared at employee engagement, and it touches 1 or 2 or 3 of these, we're actually saying it now. We're trying to make sure how we communicate is clear, not just we're going to do something, but if someone doesn't recognize it, then we're not feeling the full benefit. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think in terms of even where, as you were talking, I was thinking about how leadership matters, and training of those leaders has become a critical piece for us and an objective of this year. We're going to build a leadership model for leaders in transition or people that we think can become leaders, and then a training for leaders, and then a training for leading leaders, and what that looks like at Epitec. So we're trying to build our pipeline of leadership so that when we go and say, I need a manager or a leader over here, I can go and look at a group of folks that have already gone through a leadership building class. This is like a 3-month training session that Epitec's going to put on to make sure that our leaders are doing what they're supposed to. So you can build little objectives in each one of these boxes. And a lot of it is just saying what you already know and what you already know what to do. Now just put some energy behind those. So thank you for that. Any other questions? One more. Okay, bring it on.
Sorry. I work for the Townsend Hotel, so I'm on the phone daily with corporate America. Whatever. And in the world of, sorry if anybody's private equity around here, in the world of private equity, and 1 minute you're this company, and the next minute you're this company, and the next minute you're this company, and in the world of now you got a new board and you don't, how do you spread that message to help other companies, I mean, be a leader in that sense, to
Yeah.
let other companies know, because you can come in and buy a company, come in and buy his manufacturing company or whatever, and then tear it apart, and now you're back at ground zero, and everybody's walking around, doom and gloom. And in my job, you hear it time in and time out. It's like, well, we just got bought out, and now we don't know what, I think as a leader in this business, and the awards are good, but how do you get other people to say, hey, sign up for those awards or whatever? Maybe a leadership role is, that, I don't know if it's a question or a statement, but it's
And
really
it's a difficult set of circumstances, really. We even talk about how, my grandfather, born in 1920, he retired from the Navy and then retired from 3M. Like, he retired from 2 places. Then my father, he worked for General Dynamics, but he started with Chrysler Automotive in Chrysler Defense, then General Dynamics bought him. So you can see he went to work for a company. He thought he worked there his whole life, but it got bought and changed. Now, I'm a Generation X guy. We see all the downsizing, outsourcing, right sizing, rationalization, whatever they call it, and the movement out there. Now we got these millennials They sit down in the chair, and they're still looking for a job while they're working for you. They have no intention of staying, right? So all of that, whether it's the organizations that are being bought and moved around, the employees are being bought and moved around. So this has really become a moving target, wouldn't you agree? So now we can no longer just kind of sit and pick things off one at a time. We got to move with the problem. Being from the town's end, being in hospitality, I'm very intrigued by that, by the way, because I'm actually sending our finance director to training for Ritz-Carlton, because I want to know what hospitality is doing to make their people. It's not the Townsend, but I don't think Townsend has training available, giving away your secrets. But the Ritz-Carlton now has this hospitality. We want our employees to get a sense that they belong here. So we're gonna introduce some hospitality aspects to our employee experience. All I'm saying is you're gonna have to get outside the box. You're not gonna be able to just be that humdrum gloom and doom, and not that you are, but the people that are seeing the changes. The leadership is going to have to come up with some things that are impactful, and they're going to have to try some things, and if and things that work, you'll stick with, and things that don't, you'll move on from. So, and we think some of this stuff that we're showing you, you know, and what Rebecca was saying, and communicating that and cascading that, that is the trick, right? Any golfers in the room? Any par golfers? Okay, oh, you are par golfer. Okay, he's the only guy who's doing it right. You and me? You know, why can't you shoot par? What's the matter with you? Yeah, right, me too. You know, I've been doing it long enough. I should shoot par by now, but that's the game. You know, that's why it's difficult. It's hard. You won't always get it right. But when you do, it feels good, and that's why we go back and swing the big club, right? So hopefully that helps answer your question. Kind of. All right. Great.